Islam is definitely an Abrahamic religion, without a doubt. That's not a compliment. Every single scholar, religious scholar, categorizes Islam as a, and like I'm talking about secular scholars that are being descriptive, not making moral judgment. I mean, even critics of Islam consider it to be an Abrahamic religion. That's not a moral equivalency at all. Like, and I mean, the fact that they borrowed and evolved, that doesn't make them, and stole. I mean, if you look at so many different sects of Christianity and Judaism, this is descriptive. We don't like, it's not like a moral judgment. As long as, if the entire framework of Islam is, well, not entire, but a major frame of Islam is Abrahamic. The entire structure of their storytelling is based on Judaism. Most of the almost all, not, no, most all of their prophets are Jews except like Muhammad. Every single prophet in Islam is Jew. Ju- The fact that their teachings are different doesn't make them not Abrahamic. If we look at so many different of sects of Christianity, their teachings are completely different from what we recognize as Christianity as today. We don't consider them to be non-Abrahamic. So the difference of their teaching doesn't make a religion, like the significant difference between the teaching of Islam and Christianity and Judaism doesn't make Islam non-Abrahamic. In the same way that we had sects of Christianity that was teaching that Yahweh is evil. I don't know if you guys know that. We had sects of Christianity that considers Yahweh to be evil and Jesus to be the good God and Yahweh to be the evil God. And we consider those Abrahamic, even though that's very different from what we understand as Christianity today. I really don't want to get into an argument over this. Like, I really do understand Islam inside and out, and I know what I'm talking about. Like, I have a very deep understanding of Islam. But if you want to add to that, go ahead. But let me just mention a couple of things about Bukhari. Bukhari is not the entirety of Hadith. He's just one of the most recognized ones. There is significantly higher levels, more hadiths that we have than just Hadith Bukhari. One of the other ones is like Sahih. Bukhari is recognized because it's considered to be Sahih Hadith. We also have Sahih Muslim, and Bukhari and Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim are not even recognized by Shia Muslims. They are considered to be source of hadith for Sunnis. The main sources of hadith for Shia Muslims is this book called Coffee. We also have Nahj al-Balagha, which is the writings of Ali. So no Shias don't recognize Sahih Bukhari or Sahih Muslim as authoritative sources of hadith. When it comes to the goat eating, that was definitely the Quran. We have mentioned that story many times. It was the Quran that was eaten by a goat. Like, yeah, I'm 100% sure about that. There are certain surahs and that are missing from the Quran that were part of the revelation, and actually, those are some really good verses that were eaten. That goat has saved a whole bunch of women because it was the stoning parts of the Quran. The reason why when women commit adultery they're flogged instead of like stoned to death many times is because those verses were eaten by that goat. And that is not a mistake Islamically. If a goat ate that, that was God's way of removing those verses, right? Islamically, that was just a way for God to come and remove those verses because they were needed at some point and they were then not needed at another point. Apparently, another part of the Quran that was eaten by that goat, and that's why we don't have those verses anymore, are adult breastfeeding. So the adult breastfeeding verses of the Quran has been, because there's a way in Islam, which I mean, we have the hadith for it, but we don't have the Quranic verses anymore for it, where if you want a man to spend time with a woman that is not a mahram, because apparently men and women can't spend time with each other unless they're family or married, but there's a way around that. If it's necessary, all you have to do is get the woman to breastfeed the man, and if you do that, then she becomes his milk mother, and now they're family members, and now they could spend time with each other. This is what Aisha did. They have to suck 3 times. And there's a huge debate among Muslims regarding whether you could do it in a cup or whether you have to put the lips around the nipples and suck it, or would you be able to have it in a tiny little sippy cup and drink in, and would that work? And there is this famous scholar, Albani. which is one of the most recognized scholars in Islam, who says that because is mentioned suckling, it has to be lips on the nipple for this to work. But then a lot of Muslims will say, like, well, how could you put the lips on the nipple, given that you to be able to do suckling, like she's still non-mahram, like she's still somebody that you can be close to. So how could you? Because if you put your lips on the nipple, then she's a non-mahram. And how could you, like, it's a chicken and egg thing. Like, I will become a mahram to her after drink the milk, but how could I suck the milk before I'm allowed to get have my lips on the nipple, right? So Albani, and I kid you not, this is in writing, I could show it to you guys, and there's a recording of this, as I'm saying, he says this is not an issue because nipples are dark and nobody is attracted to black skin. And and that's why nipples are okay. So when your lips are touching her nipple, no man would be aroused by that because nipples are attractive and black. Nobody is attracted by black skin, and that's why he said this is okay. This is in recording. This is one of the most famous Islamic scholars. This is his justification. Another thing I need to add is that, oh, Aisha, Muhammad's favorite wife, the one that he had sex with when she was 9, when Muhammad died, she was leading an army against Ali. She became a warlord after Muhammad died, right? And started basically waging war against Ali. She needed to talk to the generals in his army, like the other men. Like, she needed to manage an army, so she constantly needed to speak to men. So she needed to use this ability to breastfeed men, to be able to have men in his, like, in her war cabinet to talk to. But she never had a baby, so she couldn't breastfeed anybody. So she would go hunt down her sisters. As soon as they would go pregnant, she would hunt them down to get them to breastfeed the men that she could talk to, because if they became their mothers, then she would become their family, she would become their auntie, and she could talk to them. So there was this situation that she was looking for sisters that are pregnant so that she could get them to breastfeed the men that he needed to talk to, just so that she could become their auntie and talk to them. And this is, by the way, also part of authentic Islamic hadith. Anyways, that was my TED
I just
talk
also want to
on.
say that this is not like a niche thing. Like people might be like, "Oh, that sounds so obscure." Like Mohammed Hijab got in major trouble in major drama in Dawa circles only like 3 years ago for having a disagreement with Albani on this. Like it was a major
On this.
point of mainstream Dawa discussion. This is not a fringe thing.
Exactly. Albani is so popular as a scholar that when Muhammad put a video criticizing Albani for saying it's ridiculous that nipples, you could basically, put your lips on women's nipples because they're dark and therefore not attractive, he had a video criticizing Albani for that. And so many people attacked Muhammad Hijab for how dare you criticize our scholar, that he had to take down the video. Luckily, I knew, by the way, this is how familiar I am of the Muslim community, because more than Muhammad Hijab, I knew how much the backlash is going to be. So I predicted that he will have to remove that video. And therefore, I downloaded that video. And that video is available nowhere right now, but I have it. And maybe I should do a video on it, and like I should do a review video on this, because I knew he's going to remove it. And I have that video downloaded, basically him attacking Albani. Also, a couple of years ago in Egypt, there was this Islamic scholar that was basically suggesting that in Egypt, so many men and women are working with each other in offices, and that's not Islamic, and we should have women in offices breastfeeding men so that this becomes okay. So, this is also in modern times. There was an Islamic scholar in Egypt prescribing this as a solution. Okay. Amy is loving all of this. Okay.
He just wanted an excuse to see his coworkers' nipples.
I know, yeah, maybe, probably.
Oh, I mean, if they were smart enough, they could just say that men should suck on women's nipple to avoid starving. Like if he's really hungry
Mm,
and this is the only way, so he could do it and not die from starving.
sure. All right. Yes. Okay,
Uh,
Richard, did you want to add something? No.
So I looked into the Detroit story a bit, and here's what I got. The story is about two different cops that contacted the DHS. One of them stopped someone who didn't speak English, so he contacted the Border Patrol for translation services. And the other one called ICE because he believed that the person he was stopping was undocumented. And for context, the Detroit Police Department has a standing policy to not cooperate with DHS. So the police chief put out the following statement. Contacting Border Patrol, ICE, or other federal agencies for translation services is strictly prohibited, as it invariably subjects individuals to extreme scrutiny unrelated to any offense. Detroit PD holds contracts with certified translation services that can be contacted 24/7. There is absolutely no reason to contact federal law enforcement agencies to assist with translation services. They had some board meeting yesterday, and they ended up suspending the two officers without pay for a month, but they did not end up firing them. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I
But
I don't
anyways,
think that the federal government should tolerate police departments not cooperating with them. Did Jeffrey want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to touch on that too. I mean, it's clearly political what was going on, right? So the Detroit police chief, he announced plans to terminate the two officers who contact the United States Customs and Border Protection, or and or not ICE, although they're all underneath the Department of Homeland Security. The chief stated that these actions violated department policy, and that prohibits officers from contacting federal immigration agencies for translation services. Basically, what you have is you have a guy who's beholden to a leftist mayor and was given marching orders to do what he can to procedurally obstruct ICE in carrying out its federally mandated job. And so when these officers are like, "Yeah, I'm going to ask for a translator because I don't know what this guy is saying," they were now institutionally punished. That's what I mean by a bunch of leftist douchebags, like in local politicians, fucking obstructing like federal agents carrying out their job in an environment of ever increasing danger due to the increasing geopolitical and geostrategic tension we're in, and the fact we're in the opening stages of a high intensity world war, and that our adversaries, whether it's Putin's criminalized counterintelligence state, Chinese Communist Party, mullah regime, all the sub-state transnational proxies, including places things like Hezbollah and narco terrorists, actively leverage things like or are a part of hybrid warfare, unrestricted warfare, or gray zone conflict, and have all been activated, especially the ones that have ties to the mullahs, because we're getting ready to strike the mullahs. Super friggin' like super irresponsible, super partisan, super batshit crazy. And what the other lady was saying about, yeah, they're leftists, that's legit what they're doing. They're like operationalizing their crazy ideology, and not for nothing, very much a luxury belief. I remember saying this to like one of the few anti-Israeli self-hating Jews that I bumped into at academia. Like I'm like, I don't understand. I'm like a non-Jewish Zionist. I'm more pro-Israel than you. I don't get it. These people want you dead. There was a Jewish professor. Her name is Miriam, who legitimately invited a fucking member of Hamas to openly apologize for Hamas in class. And so I wore a JDL T-shirt to the class just to say fuck you, right? Like, so I asked him, like, I don't understand how you're doing this. They're not, Hamas isn't like trying to kill Jewish people. I'm like, it's on their flag. It's anyway. What's my point? My point is you're seeing the operationalization of a red green alliance that very much has its history in the Soviet era of the Cold War, that played a direct role in taking down the Shah, and part and parcel of that now is obstructing our federal law enforcement officers and finding out the terrorist elements here in America that the previous administration's lack of border security allowed to be placed here, that have now been activated because we're getting ready to hit the mullah regime. Super fucked up. Those people need to be tried for insurrection and treason and put in friggin' prison.
In prison, that's a bit too much, no? Yeah.
Armin, I'm not a
Too
libertarian.
much.
I make no apologies for it. Yeah.
Oh, so
Like if you're
you don't believe in free speech?
No, I believe in free speech. I'm saying there's no such thing
Mm.
as an absolute freedom, right? You don't get to
But
yell fire in a theater and then like walk away and say, well, people killed themselves stumbling out of the
is that
theater.
the same as yelling fire in a theater? Is that's not the same? Yeah, I mean, I don't believe in absolute free speech, but I do believe in maximum free speech. I don't believe in calling people with the shittiest of ideas. I don't believe expressing shitty ideas is treason.
How is a local police chief who is clearly beholden to the leftist mayor and operationalizing the leftist mayor's stated policy of obstructing federal law enforcement from carrying out their federally mandated duty? How is that free speech?
No, that's not the part that I'm talking about. So that's action. That's not free speech. But I thought I maybe I misheard you. I thought that you were suggesting that all people who have these ideas, all of them are committing treason and they
No, no,
should be held and they should be punished.
I'm saying the people that are involved in obstructing federal law enforcement
Okay,
officers
yeah.
from carrying out their job, that's an act of insurrection and or treason, and they should be
Okay.
tried for fucking treason
Okay,
and
I
put to prison.
misunderstood you. I thought that
I'm
you were
not angry
talking
at
about.
you, brother. I'm just angry at what they're doing.
We're talking about like police chiefs and governors and so on. That
Yeah, yeah,
um,
I misunderstood. I thought I was just clarifying. I thought that we were talking about just generally all the people who have shit ideas like this. But yeah, all right.
Don't worry, you're safe, Armin. We don't think you have any shit ideas, and we will not try to charge you with treason or anything else.
Oh, I'm worried. Well, is it? I didn't. I am worried for people who have shit ideas. To be honest. I do. The reason why I'm worried is because like we need to like Princess of Pahlavi. Actually, we need to talk about this maybe today. Princess of Pahlavi had a statement out today in defense of Iranian Muslims, which I believe have shit ideas, and I want to defend. That's why I do want to. I do think people being wrong, like by the way, I'm not this is not regarding anything Jeffrey said. In general, I want to mention that we do have to be careful regarding not hating people with shit ideas. Okay, it's not a crime to be wrong, and the only way to correct people who are wrong is to speak to them in a way that they would listen, and making enemies out of them will make it very difficult to change their opinions, right? So that's what I especially I can see that. I mean, I always been saying this, but I see that now more than ever, given how much unity right now we need Iran between the anti-regime people, between Muslims and non-Muslims right now. It's and again, I believe Islam is shit, and I believe anybody who believes in Islam believes in really garbage shit in a garbage shit ideology, but I will still call them my friend, because my condition for friendship is not for you to be correct on everything. My condition for friendship is for people to just be kind and nice, and even if they are, you could be retarded as long as you're as long as you are a nice person and kind to other people. I'll still consider you my friend. Yeah. By the way, I also believe in compartmentalization. I do believe some people, including myself, could be retarded about one thing and genius about something else. So you might be retarded regards to believing in Islam, but you could still be a genius in so many other things, even though this area you fucked up in this area.